So it is such a pleasure. I'm Mary Conley Eggert. I'm here with Greg Chic, the original Green Plumber and author of All About Water by the Plumber Who's Seen It All. He's a regular contributor to the Global Waterworks community, a wealth of knowledge for anyone who wants to know about rainwater harvesting, just the worth of our water. And Greg, I just want to hear what prompted you to write the book.
Well, passion and the need to share that passion, and my awareness that there was not a book that was micro and macro, short and sweet, cute and easy to look at. So I did that.
Yeah, you certainly did. And I'm bringing it up here. It is cute and easy to look at. A very fun illustrator, I understand you worked with on this.
Oh, Marta Zarella helped me because I'm a plumber and a water geek. She helped me do the syntax. And Audrey Lee, she is the artist. She's fantastic. So she made it pleasurable. Did the cover.
Oh, how wonderful. And I'm going to bring up just the table of contents. You sort of cover everything. And what was interesting, everyone, to give you a sense of how Greg spanned the universe, I found a Facebook post. Actually, no, it was on our YouTube channel where Greg had chimed in and said, do you cover everything about water? He was looking for the people who were resourceful and had found our YouTube channel for Global Waterworks before he wrote the book. But he was making sure that, he didn't duplicate efforts, which I think is so important in this water space with so much good work going on. There aren't actually other books that cover it all. And as you said, you have Mike and Mac Rowe, two cousins who approach the water sector with completely different perspectives. You want to tell us about that?
Well, my interest was to do something that somebody might be able to identify with. So there's the macro people who look at the big picture, and there's the micro people who look at, well, this is my water bill and this is what I want. I got a tankless water heater, so I, micro, can take along the showers I want and not run out of hot water. So all my customers prompted me to realize that it wasn't really a dichotomy, but I used this Mike and Mac dichotomy as a simplistic way to represent the people. Hopefully people will identify with one of the two or both, or at least see the commonality between the two and maybe recognize both views and make an accurate view as a result of the two blended.
Yeah, and don't we need to appreciate different views in our world today to see similarities in how we see things and the way your story evolves in the book, the two actually grow to appreciate the other's perspective. And I think they still realize that they're different, but the macro perspective is that's actually Mac, right? And he's more earthy and more into the environment, and the micro is more into the economy, into business objectives, and doesn't necessarily have the same view of the total water cycle, which you also go into here.
Yeah, the whole thing about introducing Mac and Mike and then introducing the water cycle is to set the stage for, we're not talking about tankless versus not tankless, or we're not talking about a bottle of water versus tap water. We're talking about the whole cycle, because it takes a village, so to speak. It is the whole cycle to consider first.
Yeah, and I think going into then aspects of a new type of technology, air water gathering was fascinating, because you don't just have the cycle here on Earth, you have in the atmosphere, and that's a new addition to the book. So tell me about your thinking on atmosphere.
I got a couple quips on that, and some of them are a little snarky, but yep, I can just get water out of thin air. Because air is thin, and yes, you can get water out of it. And OMG, there's more water in the atmosphere than in the lakes and rivers.
Yeah. In fact, I
Partially
think,
because the atmosphere is so much of a larger area, but nonetheless. So air water gathering actually is not new. There were peoples in Western Africa that were doing that 5,000 years ago, harvesting their only water from the condensation or collection of water on the leaves of trees and harvesting that to drink.
yeah, and we
No
have a,
rivers because there was no rain.
right. I think you said it's, more than in the lakes and rivers. The United States Geological Survey puts it at 5 to 6 times the amount of water in the rivers across all the world is in the atmosphere. So quite a lot, as you said, and it is there. It takes a little bit of energy to get it out, and that's probably the downside of it, but it does come through pure, which is a wonderful benefit of it as we look at water quality, which I know you get to later in the book. But you also talk about green, and I think if you could tell the audience about your original work with the Navajo in bringing thermal heated water into their buildings.
Well, green's another, just a color, but it's another impressionistic word to cover sustainable. And to some people, sustainable means that they can continuously do it. To other people, it means that it can be done at all. The Navajo Reservation.
Good to clarify when you're buying a sustainable program.
Yeah. Well, upon the Navajo Reservation, there are no power poles. There's no water mains. There's stuff like that don't have that predominantly. And so at the time, they would go get water in a truck, a pickup truck, incidentally, not a covered wagon. And they would get this water in these tanks, and then they would use it to drink and wash and cook with. But what do you do for hot water? So there was this company, Cornell. They incidentally won the World's Fair for best solar system back in early 80s, something like that. They had a passive thermal water heater. It was just a bread box batch heater. It was a tank of water in a box with glazing, and the sun went in, made the water hot. So you could take a tank of water and set it up on a rock higher than the solar thermal tank, the Cornell solar water heater, thermal water heater, and then put your use point below that. And you could gravity sustainably.
Wow.
Or like I said, to some people, sustainable is the ability to do it at all. That means they can do it. The solar water, the collected water or hauled in water would then go through the water heater, and they could have a hot shower. There was some of those projects we put up. I personally didn't, but we had a teammate, a player that did the photovoltaic little panels to run the little 12-volt pumps to pump this water to a different point.
Wow. Wow. So it was solar thermal. It was outside through the sun, not geothermal, through the ground up.
Correct.
That's how you managed to do it without energy, through the gravitational pull. How wonderful. Wow. And you've always been interested in helping people. I have found, and to the audience, Greg, it's just a wonderful resource. Will answer questions in the community, and just will go out and test new products. You have a few of the GWW members. I know the Waterful water storage containers, as well as Leak Alerter you've tested. Do you still want to be sort of a tester reviewer of products if people have cool new things? Are you
well, I don't have my cameraman web partner next door anymore or up the street anymore. I moved up into the mountains, so Bill and I are more distant. We used to get together and make the 50-something videos that went on the DIYplumbingadvice.com site. The site's still maintained, but I can't add any more videos to it. Well, I should say I can't. I haven't, and I don't plan to, but I could. I want to continue to share product knowledge or evaluation or correct application education to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is wonderful. And I know your reviews in the past were nicely photographed. And if people have products or just your commentary on the products is very helpful, because Greg did create probably the most trafficked DIY plumbing site, which covered everything from how you replace or use aerators to reduce your water flow, how you install low flow shower heads, you were part of ARCSA too. Can you tell us about ARCSA because of the rainwater capture?
The American Society of, no, wait, let me get my acronyms here. American Rainwater Catchment Association, ARCSA, the definitive authority having jurisdiction on rainwater.
Mm-hmm.
And ARCSA has some manuals, has some classes. I provided a chapter, I think number 7, for the reference manual. That reference manual is still available at the ARCSA site. And I might warn that ARCSA also is an acronym used by another industry, I forget which, but the American Rainwater Catchment Association is the ARCSA I'm referring to. They have a wealth of knowledge, and they're working in the state of Texas with the Texas Water Authority and the American Society of Plumbing Engineers. There's the link. And IAPMO, and the symbiotic leadership of ARCSA and IAPMO and all these other organizations, ASP, is very well connected. Rainwater, unless you want to argue which came first, the chicken or the egg, rainwater is where all water comes from. It comes from the ocean and evaporates up and then becomes rain, but that's the chicken. The ocean would be the chicken and the rain would be the egg, or vice versa, your choice. But without the original water cycle understanding, people can't understand that all water comes from rain. And that's, ARCSA is that authority jurisdiction.
And I think that that water cycle understanding is so important. You make it very simple here. It's not clear which is the egg, which is the chicken. Oh, there's a big fish.
Well, yeah, which came first, the fish or the cloud?
Yeah.
But yeah, the concept is quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cycle, and we're not out of water. We have the same amount of water we've always had, and we'll always have that amount of water. It's entrapped in the Earth's whole existence. It's just the thing that a lot of people don't understand is, why does it rain so much one day, so we have too much water, then other places we don't have enough, so how can we be short? The answer to the simple question is how and why, and that is, when the atmosphere is warmer, it can hold more water.
Mm-hmm.
Physics. Therefore, it does.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fall in region A. But because it holds more in region B, it drops more. So it's just a distribution question.
Yeah. Right. And I know your whole goal is to make sure people know, like Mac, you need to care about this because it's real, it's affecting us all. And Mike's saying, they've got pipelines and the economy will take care of it. So, maybe the people who care so much should lighten up, he says, so that the dialogue that you create will help all of us sort of have a dialogue with the people we know, based on their economic or their vantage point, micro or macro, as you say. Very helpful. But your hope for people reading this book and for people in Global Waterworks, Greg?
Well, if people can recognize the questions that are in the back of their head, that they don't necessarily think about, but they're in the back of their head, but they either cause doubt or false hope or correct hope. But people need to recognize the issues, like Mike's thing here. Hey, you're such a snowflake. We'll just take the salt out of the seawater and have all the water we want. Lighten up. Well, that's a question that's in the back of some people's minds. Like, well, technology is going to come and this is all going to be safe. And the reality is not everyone lives next to the ocean. The other reality is that that's somewhat of an error of thought. Aaron Brockovich wrote a book. I hate to advertise a competitor's book, but Aaron Brockovich's book, Superman's Not Coming.
Oh, right.
My point is her point.
Mhm.
Superman is not coming. And so we don't need to lighten up, we need to smarten up. And my hope was that more people would read and make some synapse. This is my hand symbol for synapse, you know, it kind of goes upstairs here. And
Huh?
they get the synapse of this whole water cycle and how it applies to their thoughts, their voting and their choices.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And I think that Superman's Not Coming is an excellent book for people who are wondering about, you know, what are our choices? We do need to make decisions personally to make sure we have access to water and the water resources are there for the next generation. And Greg, you've been so helpful at that, just answering questions in the community, supporting the students who are there, but also just supporting a healthy dialogue, because unless we know we can go someplace where people will answer questions and listen. I mean, I think it's as important to listen to what the other side is saying so we understand that healthy balance of using water when we do have abundant resources on the earth, but we also have to steward it well and make sure the quality is there. Now, that's a big question I've heard lately. Maybe you can respond to this on the quality of water. People have told me we don't have a quantity problem, we have a quality problem. The quality we need at certain places is not there, like the salt water right by the ocean or the, what are your
That's
thoughts?
very accurate. You know, we have all the water we need. It's a quality issue, and that isn't a judgmental issue of is it pure enough, because water should be used, should be clean to the point of its use need.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to treat everything to a potable level. And not everyone's potable water is potable to another person.
Yeah.
And I made a comment on your site earlier. Point of use purification, if I can use that word, pure.
Yeah.
Point of use water treatment is a personal judgment. What's one person's waste is another person's collection. Water, unfortunately. And I think people need to get educated so they can understand what expense and effort they want to go to
Yeah.
treat the water that they consume.
Well, right. And you have people who are paying $40 for a bottle of glacier water. And then you have people who are paying a fraction of potable water to get the wastewater where there is no water, because that's how they're going to produce their water. And understanding, you know, the right water for the right use, if we can treat that and incentivize people to pay for it. It's a great answer, but I know we are going to be much more sustainable, and I'm using that term in terms of the long term with you in our community, Greg. And so I just also want to say that it's not, I think you made a reference to your community, it's our community. Global water only works when we all work together. And that's why if you're anyone watching this, if you have a plumbing need, a plumbing interest, Greg has navigated them all. Anything related to indoor plumbing or even external, you know, solar and rainwater capture. It's just you are a fountain of wisdom in the water world that continues to
Thank
give.
you.
And we're delighted to have you back. But any final thoughts, comments, or calls to action for us or the community?
Well, I'd like to say one of my puns, water is the greatest solution.
Indeed, and I will toast you as I have a flavored water here. So
I'll drink to that, and I hope it
um,
rains on your parade.
Yes.
Take the stigma out of rain.
That's something Israel always wants. Let it rain on our parade, then we're truly blessed. Well,
And
Greg,
let's not hope for a sunny day. Let's hope for a cloudy day.
yes, I no longer sign my letters blue skies because it means absent of any dew. So cheers to you, my friend. Let's stay connected through the community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your All About Water. We highly recommend it, and we hope to help distribute it and spread the word on it here in the community.